Hey, let's do that best and worst of 2016 list. First though, let me get a few things out of the way. My extreme lack of content in the past few months is the result of real life taking precedence. I'm not destitute or cancer stricken or anything, I just haven't had the time between work and school. I'm at my last couple semesters and the workload actually has me trying. It only took them about 4 years. Also, I did some house cleaning on my channel, getting rid of a lot of videos I considered YouTube shovelware. The types of videos I would make to have something between reviews, but were basically me recording myself playing a game or talking to a camera. Maybe I'll set up a different channel for that sort of content, but I want to put work on this main channel I can take at least a sliver of pride in. With that out of the way, this best and worst list will only be a 3 count. I didn't review many games this year, so a lower count is the way to go, I feel. Also, the only eligible games will be lower budget indie titles. Comparing Stardew Valley to Doom is a bit unfair in my opinion. As with last year, I'll only be ranking titles I actually covered and were released this year. So, without further ado, number 3 best game was a difficult choice. Number 1 was fairly obvious, but 2 and 3 were a toss-up. I decided to give number 3 to Valley, the game where you run around like a toddler on a constant IV pumping caffeinated cocaine. Movement was the focus of the game, and it was a magnificent experience from start to finish. There were slow points when I was trying to figure out the excruciatingly easy puzzles where one needs to figure out the route gaining momentum, but it was otherwise a fast-paced joyride from start to finish. My worst list was fucking easy, and number 3 goes to Dungeons of Cragmore. This gem was brought to us by the now defunct Digital Homicide. The game works, and that's about all you can say about it. I won't be Jim Sterling and rail on them for asset flips or their shady business practices, but there was just nothing to the game. At least the horrifically bad games are interesting to talk about and maybe a risk that didn't pay off, but Cragmore was just lazy shovelware. Number 2 best game goes to Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight. Where one could say Cragmore simply operates, Momodora would be more akin to a well-oiled machine. This spectacular entry into the series expertly captures a distinct atmosphere and tells its story primarily through scenery and action rather than dialogue. It's only the number 2 slot because I can list a couple shortcomings with the game that entirely stem from competence on the developer's part, if that makes any sense. Basically, they taught me the mechanics of the game too well, and later parts were about as challenging as playing an armless blind man in Mortal Kombat. Number 2 goes to Daughter of Shadows and SCP Breach Event. Honestly, I feel bad rating this game worse than Cragmore. They were both only games in their simplest function, but at least Cragmore worked. Daughters of Shadow, I feel, had more earnest intent, but was plagued with unresponsive controls and doorways. Cragmore may also have been an asset flip, but at least the assets blended well together. Daughters of Shadows, on the other hand, was literally ripping off Evangelion images. I'm honestly surprised it was put on the store page. Number 1 best game for my 2016 was undoubtedly AM2R, Another Metroid 2 Remake. This was a labor of love over the course of 10 years and has all the polish one would expect. It superbly took the old Metroid 2 game and updated it with the GBA Metroid engine. It was unfortunately wrought with controversy from Nintendo, but this independent project is the Metroid game fans have wanted for years. The main difference between this and Momodora is Momodora has easy faults to find. AM2R, on the other hand, I can find no such faults. Challenge was consistent with a well-balanced game, and it kept the focus on gameplay with little interference from the story. Put it to you like this: Momodora was a delicious ham sandwich. AM2R was that same ham sandwich, but with bacon. My worst game of 2016 goes to Cube Hotel. This is so bad I actually had to go back and look it up again because I forgot the name of this mess. I touched on this one in the lightning round video. Basically, you've got a jumbled mess of art and clips thrown together around a puzzle. The puzzle boiled down to process of elimination as far as which order you use which numbers. It was awful to the point I can't even muster the energy to rag on it. It just embarrasses itself enough as a product. So real fast, I'd like to cover the best and worst of 2016's big budget titles. Same rules apply, so I've had to have reviewed it. Best hands down goes to Doom. Holy shit, folks. This game is goddamn badassery incarnate. Your character is literally hell's worst nightmare. You get to go through hell and Mars wrecking Satan's shit without the hassles typically associated with modern first-person shooters, and that ending was hilarious. So you finish like your 15th rampage through hell and have this key which locks it away or some shit, and the robot scientist steals it from you. How does he think this is going to work out? Oh, I can't wait to see how this plays out in the next Doom game. The big budget worst game of 2016 is undoubtedly Street Fighter V. Hell, fighting game releases in general were pretty crap this year. Even if I threw all the other games on the list I reviewed, this would still probably be at least in my top count. Capcom shipped out an unfinished game and expected its audience to give them full price for it. Not only that, but you could have bought a season pass to get 6 more characters for half the original goddamn price. This wasn't just a bad release, it was an insulting release. Okay, yeah, technically it works better than the rest of my worst list, but at least that list is filled with cheap games, so I wasn't out a whole lot of money. Like, Capcom knew they could release it as is and bank on the diehard fans and competitive scene, making it stay relevant.
I just slid my dick down your throat, and you thanked me for it.
So that was my 2016 when I could tear myself away from the responsibilities of real life. Going into 2017, I'm definitely thinking an overhaul of my content, switching things around and spice up the formula a bit, you know. I'm not sure how, but I'd like to try something a little different. More like that last bit on Street Fighter V. I'm just not really sure how that fine line on fair use is gonna go. We'll see. But anyway, thanks for watching me throughout this year, and see y'all in 2017.